Annual Garden State Film Festival. This year, there will be 200 films from over 14 countries screening the weekend of March 21st to the 24th this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with director Shireen Strasberg of the animation short You Are Not Small. Shireen, thank you so much for joining me, and can you give our live audience a tidbit about your film?
Sure, absolutely. So this film was created for the children's book author Lucy Hawking. She's also um, well known as Stephen Hawking's daughter, the
Oh.
physicist. So she is an incredible woman who's actually written a ton of books, and this film was created actually to promote one of her books called Princess Olivia or Princess Olivia Investigates, I should say. And so this book was really, I'm sorry, the film was created to promote her book, and it became so much more. It basically turned into a short film, which is a great thing.
So, what was your I know that you directed this, and what was your inspiration, getting this on screen from the writing?
Yeah, so it was a really interesting process because sort of the way it started was Lucy said, "Okay, I want to make a film. It's got to, be sort of used as a promotional piece for the book." And I was like, "Okay, great. So we'll use some of the illustrations and the drawings from the book." And then it turned out that we couldn't get any of the rights. And this is sometimes the challenge of authors and publishers. And publishers are wonderful. It's great that they get books out there, but there's a lot of issues with rights. And so we had to figure out how to create a film that is all about the book without being about the book or using the book's illustrations. And so Lucy came up with a script that was sort of a larger message, and that's why it works as a film in and of itself, because it's not just about plot lines of the book. It's really about, okay, let's make it clear that children can have a voice, and that even though scientists are helping out and activists, children can play a role and ask their parents, hey, can we go support this, or can we do recycling? And so she ended up creating a script that was like basically for a completely new film, a new project, but the illustrations and the style and the coloring of all of the visuals from the film are inspired by the book and have a similar look and feel. So it does feel like it is cohesive and part of it.
That's awesome. So I know we were saying earlier that this isn't your first animated work, and it's not your first animated work in the film festival either, that you were here last year as well for your animation last year. Can you talk to us about how you came to find the Garden State Film Festival, and congratulations on being accepted?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm thrilled. I never thought I'd go into Garden State Film Festival and be entered twice, 2 years in a row. I first found out about Garden State Film Festival actually through the publicist who was helping with outreach for my first film, Cool for You. And he's actually the publicist for the Garden State Film Festival in previous years. So there was a nice connection there. His name's Adam Nelson of Workhouse Media. So Workhouse PR. So yeah, he was really instrumental in really pushing me, saying, "Hey, you should apply to Garden State. It's a great festival." And so I did apply last year, and I actually went in person, and I went to the screening. Not as many people were going to screenings in like 2021, 2022, but it was exciting because I was at the very tail end of that film festival run on that film. And so it was nice to have like a really big audience, unlike the beginning of the festival run in 2021. And then, that was such a good positive experience. I wanted to apply again when I had a second film that was a similar genre, and I got in a second time.
So what got you into animation work?
Well, I do run my own animation studio, 87th Street Creative, but it's not, I don't usually make movies. I mean, most of my work is corporate videos or training videos. It's, explainers. anything from so yeah, explainers, training videos. It could also be just ads and commercials, promos, things like that. Um, so most of the work is client based and fully funded. And on occasion, I do a project that's either self funded or a client. In this case, with Lucy Hawking, she did pay me to make the film, and then when it turned out really beyond hers and my wildest dreams, I suggested, hey, why don't we take this on a film festival circuit? And she's like, I love the idea, go for it. And so that's what I've done. So sometimes the worlds overlap. There's like the Venn diagram like of things that can overlap.
That's actually so cool that you run your own animation company. How did you get involved in that?
Again, a circuitous route. I actually started out as a film composer and sound engineer in Hollywood
Oh,
for about 10 years, and it was great. I loved it. Dream come true. I had no work life balance. I was never going to be able to have kids and a family. And so I ended up going back to school. I studied graphic design at night while working as a composer and sound engineer. And then I was doing graphic design for several years. I had two kids, and I realized, oh, wow, okay, I have no. I finally have work life balance, but no flexibility. And I realized when you have a 9 to 5 job, parenting doesn't just happen from 5 to 9. And so I decided to leave my full time job and I started my own company, 87th Street Creative. And it began while I was living on West 87th Street, hence the name in New York City. And I mostly was doing graphic design. And then over the years, I actually started taking classes in animation and motion graphics using Adobe After Effects and Cinema 4D. And I started getting projects that have animation. And over time, it's led to more and more projects, more and more clients. And my first film, Cool for You, really the way that came about was I had no work when the pandemic started, and like business ceased. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my mind. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to make a movie. So things
no,
happen.
that's a really awesome background. And I mean, like it's so cool getting to meet people like you through this whole process that have such a, I mean, lucrative, such a large like love and passion for it that you're able to create your own company and find work in it. And what would you say to people that, are trying to get their feet wet in the industry, like how you have, you know, yourself completely submerged in now?
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if it's that lucrative. Lucrative would probably not be the best word to use. If you're looking for a lucrative business, do something else. But enjoyable and passionate and fun. I would say to anyone, just make something, do anything. Like everyone's got a camera now in their back pocket. It's not the fanciest film equipment, but I mean, you can make something. And I think that that's a lot what it's about. In that, I mean, both of my films, they're tiny. They're like 2, 3 minutes long. They're not a 90-minute feature length. They're not even a long short film. I think it's called a micro short. I've learned that that's actually a term that I didn't even know of before. So it's like make a microfilm. There's even festivals out there for like 1 minute films. So
Okay.
just go and make something, do something, like come up with just a story idea. And it's like it's not about how long it is. It's just about like how good it is, and make it interesting, and people want to see it.
I feel like a really good example of that's like the Super Bowl. Some people do watch it just for the commercials.
Yeah,
So, and these are only between like 15 and a minute, 15 seconds and a minute long. So that it makes complete
totally.
sense once, like you think about it actually. But like with that said, what was because you have now made two films versus working kind of in commercial or
Yeah.
clientele work. What would you say was the biggest challenge making your own like movie versus working like with clients and making training
Yeah.
informational? Yeah.
I mean, I would say budget was like the number one thing, in that, like, nobody was going to pay me to,
Mhm,
source music tracks or voiceover artists.
mhm.
And so with my first film, Cool Free, okay, there we go. We've got a kid. Mm, Mommy's doing a live interview. Okay, good times.
Wait, um, could I have my treat?
Yes, bye. Okay. Oh, yes,
But,
you can have your treat. Bye. Thank you.
wait,
Okay. No, no.
No worries at all.
I want some milk.
Yes, but I'll get it for you after my interview, okay? Thank
Oh,
you. Okay. You can close the door now.
make sure it's soon.
Okay, great.
How
Got
many
it.
minutes is it?
5 minutes. Thank you. 5 minutes. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm, like, so embarrassed. Okay. Uh,
No worries. No worries at all. You wouldn't be the
so
first parent who's had a kid get involved in an interview, I promise.
yes.
And eat it.
So there she is. Bye.
Let's eat it. Talk about eating.
So the I
Talk about the hands, okay.
please. Oh my gosh, good times. So yeah, the biggest challenge is often just the cost. We weren't able to hire voiceover artists for my first film for Cool for You. I actually hired that kid and my other children to do the voiceover, and my husband did it, and
Mhm.
I as well. And then for Lucy Hawking's film, she ended up using kids that were friend, of friends of hers, and so just sometimes budget is really the issue, and you really try to make something that is still really good, but within a budget, so that you can make it personal and meaningful, but isn't going to blow the bank.
So, I mean, talking about how, you make these videos versus like the clientele work, what has inspired you? Like what other like animative videos have you seen that you feel like you really connected with and you wanted to pull that style into your own?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would say so much of what inspires me is often children's books,
Mhm,
because both of these films, Cool for You and You Are Not Small, were sort of both came from children's books.
mhm.
That what so much now is when I see an amazing book, and of course I'm always reading so many books to my kids. I'm like, oh, this book, this would make an amazing film. I'll give you an example. I just read an adorable book called Fred Gets Dressed. And it's about a little boy who's just, in his parents' closet. And he's like looking at all his dad's clothes and he's like, no, these are boring. And then he looks at all his mom's clothes and all her like scarves and shoes and makeup and jewelry. And he's like, this is way more fun. And
Mhm.
so he puts on all of his mom's clothes, and then his parents are like shocked when they see him. But then they end up getting the whole family into it, and like the dad puts on the jewelry, and then like they, put like a skirt on the dog, and like they just get the whole family into it. So sweet. And I'm like, this would make an amazing, amazing movie. I mean, he's also a New York Times bestselling author, so
Awesome.
I can't reach out to him and just be like, "Hey, can I make your movie?" It's not gonna happen, but that's really where my inspiration comes from.
That's awesome. It's actually such a cute, like, theme for a book. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And, you guys, you can check
No,
out the animation
mommy,
for You Are Not
no,
Small
it's gonna be right here.
Asbury Lanes on Sunday, March 24th,
There.
12 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. block. Showing see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year, where there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, entering. Thank you so much. This really reminded me of spending time around my nieces and nephews. So it was a real delight. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you so much. Bye.